Hello everyone. As you can see, I'm looking at the gas cap, the filler location on my F10 or F150 2010 F150. I have a Super Crew. A lot of the videos I saw didn't have this longer cab base. Most of them seem to be shorter, and I don't know if there's a difference between it or not, but I wanted to point out one thing. As I watched all those videos, everyone talked about the tabs and the difficulty getting it out and all of that kind of stuff, but no one ever really showed a good close picture of what was actually going on and how the tab worked. And that was my biggest concern going into this, was how do you get that in there? Okay, it's going to be a little difficult, but is there a way to make it easier? Is there some way to get something in there to provide some leverage, something along those lines? And here's what I discovered on mine, and it could be that different models, obviously, different years, is several people pointed out these little notches right here, and said there was a tab there that you had to push in on in order to get it to release. And if you notice on mine right there, there's some little scratch marks, and it's because ultimately what I wind up having to do was take a rag and a screwdriver and come in through this front side, because no matter how hard I pushed on that tab on the inside, it would not release. And so what turns out is, I don't think those are really tabs, and I'll show you in just a minute why. I think they're just they're like a way to guide the thing in there or something. And the reason why is because now if we look closely at the back of it here, you can see the little plastic piece right here that goes through that notch. But when I look at that closely, even from the side, it's not clear to me that that thing catches in any way, shape, or form in that notch. It just appears to me to be more of a guide. Now, if you'll look right here, though, these right here are springy, and they tend to catch just inside that lip. And so I was spending all my time trying to get this thing to release, and no matter how hard I pushed, it wouldn't. So eventually I just pulled it out using the screwdriver, because I could tell that it was released, but it just wasn't coming out. And I thought, well, I just got to apply more force. Well, it turns out there are 4 of these. There's on the side toward the back of the truck, and you'll see this one right there actually finally broke off. Now, I don't know how I would have ever got my hand to that position right there. At least in the Super Crew, there was literally no room that I could find to get my hand all the way up in there to push on those tabs. But on these tabs, if you push on them, they are springy, and I could see where if you pushed on those, and maybe if you just pushed on this one bottom one right here instead of this side piece, if you pushed on the bottom one, it might give you just enough release that then the rest of it would rotate out. But so the rest of the repair seems to be just as everyone else has described. If you look, the pivot pin, the hinge pin, if you want to call it, is popped up, so it's not connected or seated in this base down here. So I'm gonna have to shove that back in, and probably use the screw and washer trick that everyone else has used, and then put it back in. So anyway, hopefully that'll be helpful to somebody who's watching the videos and goes, okay, exactly what does that little tab look like? I mean, how do I get that released? What is it going to feel like? Something along those lines. So now you know. I think what we're looking at right there in the center is more of a guidepost versus an actual tab, and the actual tab is going to be around a little ways to the underneath side. And if you can get to that one, it might be enough, but if you got to get to the top one too, at least on my vehicle, I'm not sure how I would have ever managed to get my hand all the way around up on top to push that tab. Maybe my hands are too big, something like that. But anyway, there you go. I won't go through filming the rest of it, mainly because there's so many other examples of it, and the fix is going to be the same. But that whole tab release deal to me was important, because I thought everyone talked about how difficult that was, and I wanted to see if there was a way to clarify exactly how that situation worked, what they looked like, that kind of thing. So hopefully this helps.